What, you thought I'd be in a happy mood today? People with whom I am not pleased. You. Let me ask you something. A t-shirt costs $19.95 from the store at which I enjoy shopping. It's plain and cozy and worth the $20. A dress shirt costs $44.95 from the same store. It requires more material to make, and it has buttons and these little dot details and just more stuff. The t-shirt is one price. If you add more material, if you add buttons, if you add more stuff, the shirt is going to cost more. Makes sense, right? I'm Emmy the Office Girl, and I'm here to teach you that some things are just not the same as others. Corporate is coming to visit this week. There's a meeting here at which a guest speaker will inspire our executives with tales of triumph from the nonprofit world. This speaker, let's call him Ron, does a lot of hands-on type work in third world countries and may or may not have friends who may or may not retrieve their water from wells that are many, many miles from their homes. And if you still don't follow me, he's a regular Mother Teresa and you need to leave the house more often. Because it's a big corporate thing happening, there's an extensive itinerary that I'm in charge of writing, creating, making manifest out of thin air and or the computer. You get the idea. So I connect with Ron and ask him to shoot me an outline for his session, topics, timeframes, etc. And he does. Like a good little cowhand, he gives me what I ask for. And it's all just great. 4 hours, 3 sessions, a few breaks in between, and even high tea. Yes, scones, clotted cream, a tea service. None of us are British. And then I find out that the executives are scheduled for a little field trip that afternoon. They're going to a graphic design company to learn about some new fonts. You want me to be making this up, but I'm not. And believe me, I can appreciate a good font. I saw that documentary on Helvetica. I still can't recognize it when I'm out and about. The field trip conflicts with Ron's session, so I contact him about moving it forward. Like perhaps a brunch situation instead. He says no. Just no. Literally. The email response I get from Ron is a simple no. Which is cool. I get it. Except that I don't. So I follow up. What can I do to make this work for both parties? I explain that I'm just the messenger and that I had nothing to do with the booking of this field trip. I finish explaining all of this and he says, okay. Like it's not a big deal. Like he didn't just obstinately tell me no and subsequently sit through my long-winded panic before saying yes. Does anyone have one of those damn it dolls? You know, the kind you can squeeze and beat up and stick with pens to release your anger? Send me one, thanks. So Ron agrees to send me an updated itinerary that begins at 10 a.m. instead of the original 1 p.m. And he does, and it begins at 10 a.m. and it ends at 5 p.m. Let's do quick math, shall we? Originally, the session was to begin at 1 p.m. and was to last for 4 hours, thus ending at 5 p.m. Now, the session is to start at 10 a.m. and is still set to end at 5 p.m. It doubled in size, according to the itinerary. I call up Ron again. I have his number memorized if you'd like it. Ron, would you mind if I adjust the time frames on the new itinerary? I see it's still set to end at 5 p.m. and I'd just like to get that straightened out. Just so we're clear, are all the topics still with their original time frames? Ron can yell. He has a solid pair of lungs. He said some things along the lines of us being a prestigious agency and we supposedly excel at professionalism, but now everyone's going to know exactly how we treated him. It's a disgrace. I believe he said something about our reputation will burn at the stake. Do people still do that? I thought that went away. And does he mean we'll all burn? Or just like the building will burn? This is getting really morbid. Ron calmed down and we agreed on a 3 p.m. end time for his session. He will now need 6 hours total. I asked him to send me the material for the added time. So he sends me an itinerary. Again. And there was no new content. It was exactly like the original itinerary, just with new times for each topic. I don't get it. His 4-hour session turned into a 6-hour session and there's no new content. It's just bad math. It's like those shirts. One has more stuff than the other, so it costs more than the other. If you have a meeting that lasts 4 hours, but then you decide you need 6 hours, that's a longer time frame, that's a bigger time frame, that's more time, so you add more stuff. How is this complicated? I used to work in retail. I once held the record for most perfect folded shirts in under a minute. I was also the only competitor.